Okay, what's the next video gonna be? Shit! I forgot Trigun.
Wow. Didn't that come out months ago? You're hella late, bro.
Why are you even here?
To get a full body pic of my avatar finally in the video. And because I love annoying you, sweetums.
Ugh, fuck. You're not even in this video.
Yeah. Oops.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Token Cast Reviews. I'm your host and sometimes referee, the friendly neighborhood Zach Stat Pearson, and today we are rejoined by she who is possibly damn near the exact same height and weight as Millie's best friend, one Peachie Clover.
Wait, does that I say something there? Hi, I'm Peachie Clover. I do cosplays. Most recently, been doing Vash the Stampede, but mainly known on Twitter as Bayonetta cosplayer.
And I am not going to edit that out because that was fucking hilarious.
I just didn't even think about it. I was like, oh wait, that's me. Oh, I'm supposed to say something.
You know, if you want to eat during the course of this, feel free.
Okay.
I get the feeling you hungry.
Honestly, I am a little bit hungry, but I'll probably just wait.
But I digress. All right, so the topics are as follows. Number one, we're going to discuss, or you're going to let me know how you feel about the 3D formatting. Do you like it? Do you hate it? And how do you grade it? There is no S tier. You can say A tier, A plus, or you can say Z. There is no S tier.
No S tier.
Second, the character redesigns. You know, love them, hate them, or just indifferent. It's your call, your choice. Third, the story / narrative / plot. You know, those three words that literally damn near mean the same thing. Number four, what do you want to see in season 2? Besides Millie, everyone's going to say Millie.
But it's Millie. I miss her.
You realize she would step on you, right?
I know, but she would be nice about it.
You know what? I'm not going to say that because I get in some trouble. Number 5.
Listen, Millie's a saint.
Sure. Millie's a saint.
She is. She is.
But I'm not talking about Millie. Moving on. The action sequences or the action choreography. How do you feel about it as a collective whole? What are some standout moments, etc., etc.? So, whenever you're ready, go ahead and knock out number 1.
Okay, so with 3D formatting, it's usually hit or miss in general, not just in this context. But I feel like, okay, first of all, question: are we trying to look at Trigun Stampede as a standalone thing, not comparing it to the other pieces of Trigun media?
Oh no, actually, I encourage comparison. And also, just to be clear, this is not a spoiler-free review. You spoil whatever the fuck you gonna spoil. You put them eggs out in the sun next to some milk and you let that shit rot.
Yes. Okay, sweet. So that makes it a little bit easier. So I think that Trigun, it works better to have Trigun in general be 2D animation because you just can't capture the I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain it. You just can't capture the sort of supernaturalness that is Vash the Stampede and his abilities in terms of fighting and just how he is in general. It just doesn't translate well into a 3D format. Like, it's not just his fighting and his movements and like his weird little ways that he does things. It's just in general, Vash needs something that's not 3D. I don't know. I just can't explain it. The 3D formatting, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to put it to probably a C tier because it's nice in some areas, but honestly, I think it needs to stay in a 2D format. And honestly, what I would have done is I would have preferred, honestly, Studio Trigger to do a 2D version of Trigun. I think that would have been amazing.
Huh. Well, you're entitled to your opinion. I honestly thought you would be. I'm not even mad. I just legitimately thought you would think the exact opposite. But
No.
yeah. I will say this though. I did, some more research and things. I don't know if it was you or Exile I was telling about this, but for some reason I couldn't get the show to run in 60 FPS or 30. Turns out it's not even made in 60 or 30. They did like 51 FPS or something. Because they're like, why am I seeing these jumps and skips? They don't make any sense. And then I realized, or I remembered, for some reason, many Japanese developers and directors want to have their shows almost simulate that they're animated in like a 2-frame or a 3-frame system. So even though they can do a full motion, they will force them to not do it, much like Guilty Gear Strive, if you're familiar with that game franchise. Mind you, I know it's an artistic choice, but it's a stupid artistic choice. It's a very fucking stupid artistic choice. Not to mention, if your artistic style makes me think that there's something wrong with my internet, my TV, and my video editor, even if it's only for like 4 seconds, I feel like you should go back to the drawing board.
I mean, it works for some things, like Into the Spider-Verse. It works for that. I worked at a cinema at the time when that one came out, and I had a lot of people, like a lot of the customers come out and they're like, I think there's something wrong with the movie. It's kind of cutting weird. It looks like I should have 3D glasses on. And we're like, no, that's just how the movie is.
Yeah, like if you have that problem, you should reevaluate your shit. All I'm saying.
Yeah, it's just if you're gonna do it, commit to it, not make it only happen every once in a while. It needs to be consistent all the time if you're going to commit to it. So I think 3D formatting in general, it works for some things, but I don't think it captures the vibes of Trigun and the world that Trigun is. I don't think it captures that, especially when if you've ever read the Trigun and Trigun Maximum mangas.
Go ahead.
Then well, I'm just want to point out that a lot of things, one of the big reasons why I like Trigun Maximum so much is that just the little character faces, like the little like chibi versions of over exaggerated faces in the different panels, kind of like in Demon Slayer, how they have that. Demon Slayer, they're able to portray that because it's a mixture of 2D and 3D formats. So they're able to make those faces that are like the fun little, like, it's the kind of things that people put like their profile pictures on Twitter because it's such a cute little funny face in the corner for like a reaction face. But it doesn't work in a 3D format. So then it takes that silliness and funness away from Vash the Stampede that made him a lovable goofball idiot in the first place. If that makes any sense.
No, I understand. You are not a fan of the aesthetic because they didn't commit. They pretended to commit. I think I'm kind of in the same boat because I don't hate the idea of a Japanese cartoon being 3D animated. And I think people who think that a Japanese cartoon animated is somehow lesser than are just fucking nerds. But that's not even offensive. Yes, it is. Look up the actual definition, jackasses. But I just think that they're unnecessarily gatekeeping, right? I'm assuming you mean something like this, design-wise. I dropped links in the Discord. I don't know if you can see them.
No, I can see, yeah.
Okay.
It's different. I can show you different examples, like send you them separately, but he just makes like
I'm video and
really
audio
ridiculous.
So the YouTubers will be able to see anything that you put up.
Okay, well, I'll have to look into some of this stuff, but it's just a lot of like fun little faces that he makes, and it kind of just ruins what is Vash the Stampede, in my eyes at least. Because he's just a silly little goober guy.
I have not heard the word goober in 20 years. Thank you for bringing that back.
You're on the wrong parts of the internet, then.
I think that's a classic. You need to be calling people goofy goobers when
Yeah, he's a silly little goober man.
Yes, I've seen SpongeBob. I'm aware.
Yes, exactly.
And joining us, our final member of the almost at this point 5 to 6 person Trigun review, we are bringing back a one Jupiter Exile.
Glad to meet you.
Hi,
glad
welcome.
to meet you, Peachy. Glad to be here again, Zax.
Yeah, glad to have you both. As mentioned, I don't know what happened in between you two, but the minute my interviews with you guys went up, that was when I had initially made partners. So, I was always planning to try to spread the wealth back and, cross promote with anything you guys have planned anyway. So the fact that I can get you both at the same time, just, icing on my cake.
Hope it's a chocolate cake.
You and this chocolate woman. God damn.
It's chocolate.
This, lightning to strike twice.
Well, I mean, having the senior vice president, editor-in-chief of Marvel confirm in a room full of hundreds of people, or about 100 people, everyone on the internet is lying to you about comics going the way of the dinosaur, or being shitty compared to, Japanese stuff. Business is booming, and it's been booming better than it has in a long time. That did pretty well. So, lightning may not have struck twice, but I got close.
True.
Yeah. So moving in. So we are at question 1, which is 3D formatting of the current series. Do you like it? Where do you grade it? No S tier. Just to be clear, should you feel the need to spoil something, you better fucking do that shit. You better take them eggs out of the carton and you better just sit them on the side of a sewer road or some shit. You spoil the bejesus out of it. Matter of fact, Clover's actually read the manga as well, so she can spoil things more than most people understand.
Hell yeah, I did.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Top
It's been a long
tier.
time for me since the Trigun manga.
Yeah, I'm glad, I got someone who's read it more recently, because people don't realize it, but, back in the day, a show didn't just magically become, a show because the manga did well instantly. There used to be a waiting list. Yeah, Trigun technically started in like the 90s, then it took like 5 years to get the show, and then the show didn't even really go past, well, basically the first 2 arcs of the entire series. And people to this day still don't realize it.
Is there actually a Gecko ending for the anime? Huh. I didn't remember that about the end of the manga.
Yeah, and remember it became 2. There was Trigun, then it went into Trigun Maximum. Yeah.
And then
Right.
the 98 anime, it ended where the original Trigun story ended instead of Trigun Maximum story ending.
I hate when that happens, because there are so many people who think a show ended wrong and they don't realize, like, bro, they just couldn't afford the second season, or you gotta wait maybe 10 years for the second season, which the fact that that's even a thing disturbs me. But then they won't read the manga. I'm just like, okay, so you don't want to support it, but you want to get new material. Did it not occur to you that, you have to put the carton before the horse, or vice versa, homie? It's like they're allergic to reading. I swear.
Oh yeah, I suppose Trigun Maximum didn't actually conclude until 2009.
Nope.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because, well, I mean, like I said, one went directly into the other. And it's way more common than a lot of North Americans realize for a manga to do that. Not necessarily have a sequel that comes directly after it, but it's very common for, if a manga has a sequel series, the sequel series might not never get animated. It's not just exclusive to Trigun. And I honestly hate it. And that's actually what made me get into reading and looking for mangas a little bit more, because with a comic book, if I know the publisher, I can order the issues. There's a barcode on it. I can get that thing, or I can pick up where I left off. And then if I get a TV show, that 1 in a million thing, I'm happy. If I get a movie, I'm happy about that too. Those are still rare. People just think they're not rare because of Marvel, but no, comic book adapted movies, comic book adapted games are still rare. They make up less than 5% of all entertainment media in the past 20, 30 years. Less than 5%. It's rare. So I was overjoyed at the idea of, potentially, they're finishing Trigun. No, they're rebooting it. Well, they better finish it this time. That being said, so we've already gotten Clover's opinion for option 1, but I would love to hear yours, Mr. Exile.
So broadly speaking, I am well and truly in favor of a 3D format. I loved watching. This is Studio Orange, whose previous work is on Beastars. So it was fantastic. Very, very expressive characters. And before that, they were doing Land of the Lustrous, which shows off more of their like kind of flowing combat animations. And we get to kind of see that again, because there's some fights in Beastars, but it's not on the same level. And Stampede is back to like super heroics level action. So we really get to see them go ham. I think they overused a little bit this kind of 360 panning around the action shot, which I found to be cool the first time, but maybe a little disorienting. But apart from that, it was rad. And some of the effects they got for like Wolfwood's armaments were really good. And Vash fighting with the pistol in the Tonfa stance was really cool. I had other issues with that I'll bring up when we get to like character breakdowns and analysis. But overall, I'm very in favor of 3D and a huge fan of the studio.
Well, that's a very interesting opinion. I'm not going to state why, but I will tell you this because I was telling Clover about it earlier. I don't know if it was you or her, but I couldn't figure out if my internet was a problem after I got it upgraded finally. For those who don't remember listening to this, there was a lot of content that got canceled because I learned the very, very hard way that my address that I'm currently living at hadn't been registered with the fucking state. Mind you, that's out of my control. So I couldn't even get Comcast to come down here because as far as they were concerned, my address didn't exist. Then they showed up 4 times in a row and didn't do anything. And then the 5th time they actually did something.
Gotta love that.
Yeah, my landlords, I can't even blame my landlords. It's more like the managers of the building who aren't the landlords. They didn't register my own address. That was so fucking annoying. Imagine trying to get a state ID when your address hasn't been registered with the state you live in. That was fun.
Kidding.
Might even do a whole video on that one day, but that would be just a rant at that point. But we did find out, because I couldn't tell via internet upgrade, TV type, frame rate adjustment, computer, raw download, and video editor, why am I seeing skips? This ain't Into the Spider-Verse. Well, I mean, it kind of was. So Trigun, at least the versions that we have access to, all of us collectively, apparently is either 55 or 51 FPS show. But because I am so versed in the well that is cinematography and video editing, I immediately caught it, but I couldn't tell if it was an error on my part or if it was literally, okay, there's a glitch and error and someone needs to let Hulu know because, they got the streaming rights. Turns out they just made it that way and they didn't tell nobody because that's a smart idea. Yeah, don't get me wrong. If it works aesthetically, I'm cool with it. But if I can't tell if your aesthetic is a problem or not, then that should immediately make you think we should rethink this. All right. Moving on. Clover, go ahead and start off with the character redesigns. How do you feel about them?
Well, I'm also gonna have to. Are we okay? First of all, are we doing a tier ranking for each one of the questions? Or are we only doing that for number 1?
I only plan for number 1, but I'm not going to stop you if you do it for other ones.
All right. So, character.
Are you about to turn into a fashionista?
Well, I am quite particular about clothing and fashion in general. I'm just going to say that I'm not the biggest fan about the redesigns.
I'm just going to say that I am correct, and that's exactly what you're about to do. Continue.
So, it's there. The spirit is there. They kept the core colors for all the characters and everything, so I can't be too angry about that. And I know that they're trying to appeal to a newer, mostly younger audience as well, so they're gonna have to change some things to be a little bit different. But just, you can't beat the red like fucking coat from the original Trigun series. You just can't beat that.
It was definitely better.
It's so good. It's so good. It sold the post-apocalyptic world more than having a long jacket with like a fucking sweatshirt on it did than Meryl's outfit, because it feels more modern. And that's not what...
she's just not holding back.
I'm gonna tear it up, tear it into fucking pieces. Basically, the spirit is there, but really, it just doesn't sell me on the environment. It just seems like this is just clothes that anyone would wear at any point in time, like in like newer age. I mean, like modern days. So really, it doesn't really sell me on the fact that this is like a dystopian sort of world where they hardly have clean water. They hardly have like enough electricity and all that. It just seems too clean, I guess. Too clean and neat. So you can't beat that old style, because it sold it a lot more for me, especially with like Vash's coat, because he's hiding all this fucked up parts of his body underneath that, and like it's just, yeah, that's my opinion. Also, I want more of Wolfwood's like boobalicious pecs.
Oh, that's
We're
right.
missing out.
He didn't have his shirt open as often.
No,
did he?
he didn't. He didn't have his pecs. Where's his muscles? It's gone. So,
I love the
character.
I love the X factor that comes with never knowing what someone's gonna say anytime I record. But then there are some times, and I'm just like, did I hear that right?
No, you heard it right. That's what all the Trigun spaces I'm in are fucking. His boobalicious pecs.
I mean, I thought you were going to bring up how stupid it is he's in a desert and he's not wearing socks, but okay.
Well, a lot of people have pointed out that whole, like, oh, he looks ridiculous with his, like, loafers and, like, fucking above the ankle pants. But someone else pointed it out that it's actually a specific shoe wear that people with more desert environments, they wear them. They're specifically made for sand. I forgot what they were called, but someone pointed it out. And I also want to point out something that a lot of people are upset about is the lack of darker skin tone for Wolfwood has definitely been a big factor people have a lot of complaints about, which I also have a complaint about.
I don't remember that.
He is generally more tan than the other characters in the stories, and he also has a different nose shape. He has a more hooked nose than the other characters, so it feels like a lot of people feel like that's erasing what could have been his racial identity and the kind of connections with him and his beliefs and whatnot. So that's a big complaint.
Wolfwood was always on some level going to be not necessarily intentionally offensive, but there was always going to be some source of contention relating to him, because I don't know who woke up and keeps telling the random, not all Catholics, just so we're clear, but the Catholic and the Catholic delineated people that if you don't like somebody using your religious iconography in some way, shape, or form in a country that has freedom of expression, you complaining is not going to change that. Like, I don't get why people still want to whine. It's not that I don't think you shouldn't complain about something you don't like. It's more like there are situations when I know nothing's going to get done about it. Why waste everyone's time with even posting it?
Wolfwood is also not the only example of Christian imagery.
Yeah, he's like legitimately not.
Yes.
He's just the most obvious part of the motif.
And the coolest.
Yes, he is the coolest. Absolutely the coolest.
I hand that over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's funny though. I didn't think about the outfits almost at all when I was thinking about the character redesigns, except for Vash, because his mechanical arm being obviously notable is a huge pivot in the way the character is presented. So that was an element that I picked
Yeah,
up
that
on.
kind of bothered me.
For sure, yeah. Me too. Especially when like some people might be listening and watching, they don't know, but his mechanical arm is actually a gun. It's a hidden gun that he uses on very rare occasions. So the one that he has right now is very big, very flashy. It doesn't make him kind of hidden more because he wants to not stand out because, he's a man on the run. So having the flashiness of that big giant arm is definitely not attributing to that at all. And then the more modern take of the Punisher is also quite a bit disappointing to me, but it could just be my little opinion. So
I see the modernization of Wolfwood's weapon as being just part of a symptom of the general power level being really dialed up for Stampede. And I think that it all factors back for me into the fact that Stampede isn't a Western at all. It's just a sci-fi show. And that feeds back into what you were talking about before about like clothing choices and people not having dusters. And that was frustrating to me for most of the series watch. And then I realized at the very end, July is still there, and there's still a lot of industry that's based out of July. So the actual resource level that people are supposed to be at and the level of desperation that's supposed to exist is like unclear to me. It seems like they probably could have spared part of the runtime to set that up better. And I was kind of lost as to what we were intending to do there.
Well, we know what he gonna say for number 3. Not gonna lie though, I'm
trying to make sure I stage everything out.
No, don't get me wrong. Like, I think I've already told you, you've never said anything, at least to my knowledge, on this show that didn't already feel informative or just, like it fit what you were trying to, convey. But I've already said it in my segment, but I can't stress it enough. I did like the story, but the aesthetics were out of sync on so many levels. The minute they get on that train, it was like the show couldn't figure out what it wanted to say about the world. As far as it's how it stands out. July over here looked like fucking Las Vegas in the year 3000 and shit. But Vash and where Knives shows up and he's running from him, that looked like it came out of spaghetti western that just discovered, I don't know, oil or electricity. And I'm just sitting up here like, okay, this tone, how did they not notice this tonal shift? And then let's not forget the rave neon gaslight army people that don't exist in the manga. What? It's not
those guys. Those guys I actually buy as like original Trigun. Okay, they're a little more dialed up than before, but originally the plot on the Sand Steamer, they did get raided by like fabulous bandits.
They're fabulous bandits. He likes to be flashy. He likes things to be fabulous.
They weren't neon flashy before, but it's still the same flavor. So I forgive that one.
Yeah, but I don't hate them. It was just that's when I first started realizing, okay, I think there's a tonal problem here with the aesthetics.
There was a tonal problem because you've got them coming in and like the side cutaways with Meryl and old investigator dude, name is failing me.
Robert De Niro. Just say Robert De Niro. Let's call him what he is, Robert De Niro.
At the same time, you've got like Wolfwood's childhood friend who's like been drug-addled and mind-controlled attacking. So it's completely different levels of seriousness on those sides of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I could say about the story and plot.
We're almost there.
It's all coming there, but yeah.
Okay.
There are maybe like two things I wanted to get about the character redesigns before we move off of those.
Well,
on the general sense.
You were going next, so go right ahead, sir.
All right. So on the broad sense, I like that we get to see more of Wolfwood's like background and what's going on with that, and I feel like that was more thoroughly explored than they got to do in the 90s series, which is cool. Knives is like more relatable, which is a weird choice because Knives in Knives in the 90s Trigun is just the devil. He's like the worst person. He's almost the worst person you could imagine. Legato is a step nastier because Legato is like the ultimate human evil, and the human element is like important to the storytelling in 90s Trigun. It's like it says a lot that in the end Legato has to be killed, but Knives is not killed in the end of 90s Trigun. But moving on from that, we see a lot more of Knives. We explore his ideas more, and that goes into more of like a xenology type of theme, which is more in line with the sci-fi. So there's like a better through line there than anything else that's going on in the plot.
Yeah, because we didn't actually learn a lot about him the first go around cartoon-wise. Yeah. I just know, he's just somebody that Knives messed up. The end. It was like, no, I would like details.
He has...
You first.
Oh, I was just... Legato has a certain reason why he's following with Knives. It goes over in the manga. Basically, Knives kind of sort of spares him / saves him from this town that Legato was in when he was younger. He was basically being, let's say, SA'd repeatedly from this group of people, from other men and presumably other women. And then Knives, on his killing spree going through the different towns, he killed everyone. And when he was about to go for Legato, he saw that Legato had nothing left to live for, and he didn't really care that his life was about to be taken. And Knives, just on a whim, decided he was going to take him in. So basically, he sees how Legato hates humanity just as much as Knives does. So it's kind of like that.
Even misanthropes need friends.
And Legato in the 90s Trigun, as well as in the manga, is a hugely imposing character, barely says anything.
Yeah.
And his depiction in Stampede is almost like catty or petty. He's such a weirdly downgraded character.
Don't
from where
talk
he was
about
in
my
90s.
hair. Like, are you the same person,
Oh
bitch?
my god.
Are you a spam
Oh my
bot? What the
gosh.
fuck? I was literally getting mad.
Him.
That was the worst character assassination of the whole thing.
Yeah,
So they
did
also
it really bad.
They also had kind of the more juvenile aspect going on for both Vash and Meryl. And Meryl, I think they're running her more juvenile because they're not running Millie, and presumably, perhaps they'll bring in Millie in a later season. And I think that's perfectly fine for Meryl, because for me, 90s Meryl, I could not pick her dialogue out of a lineup. She is so generic 90s heroine, I couldn't care less whatever they do with her
I
character.
can smell the salt off Clover right now.
That is
Oh,
my
no.
spiciest
Listen,
take for the video.
No, I'm not number one Meryl fan. She's kind of just there, and I didn't agree with the romance that they tried to enforce in the 98s with her and Vash. Meryl's just there. I'm not like number one Meryl fan ever. I think that she's okay, and
Okay, so maybe
yeah.
it's just me, but do both of you mean Millie?
No.
No.
Okay, just checking.
We're talking
No,
about
Millie's
Meryl.
Millie's a buttercup, and she needs to remain exactly as she is.
Oh my-
Yes, she's sweet. She's sweet baby. She can never do anything
So it's just
wrong
me.
ever.
I'm the only one that has a problem with her. Okay.
Yeah,
Be like
but
that.
90s Millie has personality. Like,
True.
you can value
She
her, and
does.
she's different. And like 90s Meryl is the same as any other character that's just kind of cynical.
Yeah, she's just a tsundere type,
Yep.
and there's nothing particularly noteworthy about Meryl. The Meryl stands are seething in their chairs right now, but
She's pressed out of a factory mold. They got to get over it. They'll have a
Yeah.
dozen more waifus like Meryl.
Damn.
exactly.
Pressed
Yeah,
out of a
it's-
fact. Ooh.
True
That
though.
is
It's
just
like it's
mean.
facts.
I'm here for
So-
it, but that is beautifully mean.
Funnily enough, the most important motif about Meryl that they carry forward, it's a good thing that they make her more bubbly because it uses Studio Orange's strong suit, which is like having very good facial expression. But the most important thing they carry forward about that character is that she's colored blue, and that's part of the biblical imagery.
And she's
because-
really small too.
Yeah. Well, she's
You
supposed to
would bring
have
that
the
Yeah.
she's supposed to have the biblical color of maidenhood. It's associated with like the Virgin Mary and all the artworks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so presumably she will continue along that role because legitimately her role in the show is to believe in Vash, and that's about as far as her actual niche goes until you give her something more. And for her to be able to do something more in Stampede, they're gonna have to give us more like regular people because she can't really do anything when everybody we're interacting with is a superhero.
I mean, that is kind of what happens anyway. But to be fair,
Yeah.
I mean, I get what you mean. My
We got
biggest
another
issue
season
with that,
for it.
Say again?
Yeah. We got another season for them to do something with her, and
Yeah.
theoretically, after killing
Season
off,
2 has been confirmed.
yeah, and theoretically after like Roberto's passing and the events of the last episode, she's theoretically gonna be like hardened up, but we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
I think. Well, I can't say what I think is going to happen in season 2 because I technically already did my part like 2 weeks ago. But I will say this: I do think that they have a golden opportunity, but at the same time, double-edged sword. So a golden double-edged sword opportunity. Yeah. They have the ability to make her seem like more than just fangirl whom he inevitably falls in love with, who is basically generic as shit. But at the same time, you know, if you want to respect the original material and the writing, her importance begins and ends with, does she need to be saved? No. Okay, so she doesn't need to be saved. Does she need to contribute to this fight in a very small and minuscule way that ultimately barely hurts anyone to move the plot forward or make her seem more important? Yes. Okay. Now, are we past that point? Yes. Okay, what's she gonna do now? Try to get people to not try and murder Vash by being completely unsuccessful at literally that. Yeah, we'll have her do that for the rest of the series. And I'm just sitting here like,
her very like 90s woman writing role is that she will be physically saved by the hero, but in the hero's darkest hour, she will pick him up emotionally.
yeah,
And
like she's
if I remember
Sakura before
correctly,
Sakura.
she's there to pick him up out of after the showdown with Legato
Yeah,
in the
she's
90s
Sakura
anime.
before
Wow.
Sakura.
Yes.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
But that's the entirety of her role in the 90s.
I
portrayal.
know, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But they can fix that so easily. Just give her like 1 or 2 fight sequences, or you know what? And make her the star of the B plot. When Vash is over here stampeding and clapping cheeks and claiming, I want peace, no, you gonna pop some people to get there. Go and have her off to the side, kind of sort of like, you know, in the last 2 episodes, her doing something that affects the A plot, other than let's stand there because there's nothing we can do except not get shot at.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to say that a big part of Meryl's story, it's seemingly, well, it is more important in Trigun Maximum because she, in the end of, after spending all that time with Vash the Stampede up front, she is that middle ground for the people to start trusting Vash after everything that's happened. Because she's able to tell the people, the general population that doesn't know anything about Vash other than like the rumors about how horrible and awful he is. She's that middle ground where she gets to slowly help him emerge into society as a more accepted person, because people don't trust him and his word, but they trust her word, especially since she spent so much time with them. Humanity kind of teams up with Vash in the end because they have no choice. But I believe that role for her is more apparent in the manga than in the 98 or in currently Stampede. But she only was really important for that emotional pickup that you guys were mentioning in the 98, but it's only because she reminded him of Rem, and that's the only reason why.
Yeah, he'll never get over his mom.
It's pretty dismal back there. But I do think that making her a journalist is a good setup to lead in towards her connecting with the people. And I think that connecting with the masses and being the strong voice there is something that has been done with a number of prominent female characters who are in danger of being sidelined in more recent stories.
Sakura.
Like, it is the Sakura thing, but they also did that in a good way with Uraraka more recently in My Hero, and I think that was a pretty strong performance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the definition of a course correction. But here's the thing I like. I know we all know the terms, at least in this country, art affects life and vice versa. Well, people forgotten this, and I really do hate how ironic it is that the things that a lot of these so-called quote-unquote anime-obsessed douchebags, let's call a spade, want to so up here and say, man, fuck Justice League Unlimited, and anything that's relating to a cartoon superhero group from America. Boku no Hero is better. Boku no Hero is the future. Boku no Hero is going to have a concrete ending with no continuation. Number two, the entire fucking series is based off of the author's love and respect for North American comic books as an entirety, but more in particular, the fucking superhero genre. But you're sitting up here acting like Boku no Hero is somehow original, unique, or has done something someone else didn't already do throughout the entirety of the 90s, 80s, and 70s. Now, first off, no one asked for your goddamn opinion. But secondly, how are you going to sit here and say something is terrible, but the thing that's based off it, which is going to have a concrete ending, and is the author loves, is also terrible, but you love everything he do? Look, it's all cyclical. It's all cyclical. We need to just establish that Americans can influence, or North American entertainment can influence as far as Japan, and vice versa, because I like when we try to mix things, because we can pick apart the things that we're terrible at. We all know that there was an entire, 30, 40 years of female characters, or attempting to write respectable female characters, or female characters who are meant to be just as important or hold their own. Yes, Marvel and DC did fumble a lot of things, but they acknowledge it, admit it, and they learn from it. Bro, when they first showed off Storm, when they were trying to describe her as beautiful and looking like she had features from every single ethnicity on the planet, bro, they called her a Negroid. Yes, they're not going to hear that in YouTube land. Now, Exile, I know you know what that is. Clover, you may have to Google some shit, but anything with the OID is inherently derogatory and offensive to any human being, because it's othering them and stating that they are lesser than a human, but they are similar to one. That's actually the full word for Negro. Negro is a contraction. The full term is Negroid, right? OID on the end of it. So obviously they don't think like that anymore. And here we got Boku no Hero, which could be, as far as writing is concerned, a glimpse into what happens when we learn from our mistakes, or we don't stereotype our women and younger people, and just in general, we don't try to enforce stereotypes or reinforce them in writing. He has so many important women. There are women that have died for the cause. Some of the most important characters in the series are women, but it's not even just that. They are well written. Go look at just any arc or season of Naruto and then compare it to Boku no Hero. It's basically the same thing. Here's a kid who's not all that popular. Then he finds out he can get access to super strength. He get access to super strength. Somebody don't like that. Some people want to challenge him. Some people don't even care anymore. And then they go on a journey.
Hiroaka is really like Naruto 3.0. It's just Naruto done better.
She, from the ground up, what does she decide? Oh, I want to be in this to win it. I want to do so well for my parents and support my family. She was taking on Bakugo, and even Bakugo, the asshole among assholes, he basically said, hey, listen, I gotta hand it to you. You had a pretty smart idea. But what you don't seem to understand is that I am on a completely different class. I've never seen him be calm in a fucking fight. Literally, the whole series, there are only 2 times when that dude is calm in a fight.
Too angry to go down.
Yeah, it's like he was only calm in 2 fights. When he fought Uraraka, and when he was fighting, he didn't have to fight. When he had the choice between running from and fighting All Might in like season 1 or season 2, he was planning it out methodically. I'm like, okay, I fucking hate Bakugo, but I can already tell he's gonna be the one all the girls love, and he's actually smart. And I hate angry smart people. I really do. I like arrogant smart people because I can belittle them with sarcasm. Angry smart people, I hate because they remind me of the old me, but I'm not gonna go there. We'd be here all day.
Yo, I gotta admit, I haven't seen past that original tournament arc in My Hero.
That's fine. It's all on Hulu. Get there when you get there.
I'm okay. I'm a pass this time.
No, it's fine. I mean, to be fair, Boku no Hero doesn't have anything you haven't already seen. It's just got superior writing in comparison to other Japanese cartoons of a similar genre and also type. The biggest issue is just that there's too many idiots who think that, oh, if the story improved in this one thing in this narrow-minded field that I love, then everything else by default must be trash. I'm like, bitch, he based it off that shit you calling trash.
Yeah, it's just very well written shonen. So if you're in the mood for shonen, it's good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's the best shonen on the market right now.
All right, so before we get out of here, what do you grade the story and plot, Clover?
Ooh, I got to go back for one more thing on the character design.
Yeah, I also have another thing for the character
That's
design
fine.
as well.
We're gonna hold you down on
saw
this
that coming.
because I didn't talk about Vash at all. Well, I talked about Vash a little bit when we crossed the wires earlier. I mentioned that the arm is bothersome, but it's part of the overall problem. The most important scene to me in 90s Trigun is that scene of Vash getting ready in the morning when he's like quick drawing the gun, recatching the egg. You see him entirely scarred up because it shows that this man is so determined and has to be prepared at all times for whatever's going to go down because he knows, and it's burning in him. It is all of the wounds that are all up and down him are his knowledge of failing to save people, or the knowledge that people's lives are going to come down to his actions. That is entirely missing from the new interpretation of Vash. Knives confronts him on it in a really great way when he starts to deliver those lines, saying like, you're not convicted about this, you're just guilty about the lives you're responsible for. And Vash's response is really half-baked, and it's showing off that this Vash in Stampede doesn't have a fully formed ideology. Whereas in 90s, Vash out the gate is already in his fully formed ideology.
Yep.
And he's living in that. He's in the love and peace mode, and he is carrying through every possible action he can do through trickery, intimidation, skill to get people down out of a fight. And by contrast, in the first episode of Stampede, the man doesn't have bullets. And that was so brain-fryingly annoying to look at.
That genuinely did piss me off because I could tell they were going for a comedic situation based on the expressions, but my problem with the comedic situations is that the way they work in Vash is he tries to calm a situation down and de-escalate with comedy. And then he shows you a small glimpse of, hey, I actually mastered Ultra Instinct well before Goku did, homie. And still tries to, give you that comical pat on the back. And then that third time, okay, you still want to go there? Well, let me fuck you up in some way where you can't do this thing that you were doing to people anymore. And then he immediately snaps back into love and peace. But I figured out they're developing this Vash and actually giving him a character arc that's going to go into season 2. Because for those who saw that small little glimpse, he's in that outfit from when he was running around trying to basically live as a human being. Like, oh, you finally realize you should ditch the red coat to blend in so you don't stick out because no one else has a fucking red trench coat in the entire franchise? But, that's another matter. I think that training montage, which we all like that stuff, I think that is going to happen in season 2. Because even though he can hide from knives, he still wants to be prepared because he finally, again, we haven't gotten to season 2. I think he finally realizes, okay, I know what I want, and I know no matter what I want, Knives wants the opposite. I need to be prepared for him so he can never do or get close to doing what he did to that city again. Because it's kind of cool if you think about it, but we all know that sometimes you have to rise before you can fall, quote unquote. Well, that happened with Vash. He was sitting on cloud 9 with his wings of Icarus, but in full belief that he can just will through his own power and might a neutral or a positive outcome to all these dangerous and life-threatening situations. And then here comes Knives to remind him, like, oh, you not gonna get that piece, homie. Did you forget that I breathe air? We gonna go at it like owls and crows. For those who don't know, it's really kind of disturbing. For some reason, owls hate the existence of all black birds, so they will try to bite their heads off for no reason other than that they want to. It is fucking disturbing. But
Damn.
yeah, there's
What
no,
if that's like,
they're not
predatory
predators. They just do it when they see them. And
Nature's scary.
Yeah, you have no idea. Don't get me started on hippos. People think tigers are scary.
Oh yes, no,
fucking
they're
hippos.
terrifying.
Hippos will rampage your whole city just because they think
That's
that
like the
you
most
shot
dangerous
at
animal
them.
there is.
Yeah, it's one of the most dangerous land animals that there is.
And they're literally in the sky, and he's telling him, hey, listen, stop. You don't seem to understand what's going on. I'm actually holding this violent murder beam back. You can't get the cube because if you do, the energy's gotta go somewhere. And he's just still coming at him to the point where his body is literally being, I want to say vaporized, so I will. His body is being fucking vaporized. And he's like, no, fuck you. I have a breath in my lungs, so I need to make you suffer. And now, because he wanted to fuck around and not do what he could have done episode 1 or years ago, an entire city of people are going. I think we're going to see Vash basically go through his whole Meryl is my new mom phase. He's going to get dark. Meryl is going to bring him into that light, but he's going to not be in that light. He's going to be gray, which is why I like what they did with his character design, which they foreshadowed, and I'm pissed they did it. But I don't know if you saw it. I watched in slow motion, but Exile, did you notice when he had that cannon out, he had a completely different hairstyle and color?
No, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, I know. I had to slow it down, and I had to alter the lighting and fuck with it for like 10 minutes. But he got basically a capital M bang, like he came out of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the front. And then the rest of it went to his Trigun Maximum styled color hair a little bit. But also it was really dark in that scene. And he's telling him, stop, no, don't make me do this, or you can't get this right now because I'm going to let off a giant energy. Fuck you. And then when you see him in the very next scene and he's wearing the stereotypical suspender outfit from like the 1800s, his hair's longer. And it's
Listen, don't shade Eric's in this room. Do not.
Forget who I'm talking to.
Vash's little fake name after the July incident when he's in his little suspenders is Eric's. He's named after a dog.
As many cats as they got in that show in the cartoon, you would think he would name himself something like Neon or something. But anyways.
Oh no, someone else gave him the name.
Yeah,
but
and then when I
continue.
saw this, I was immediately thinking, this is a Wings of Icarus situation. I'm sure we've all heard it, but in case a listener hasn't. So Icarus was just a normal kid. He had a plain ideology, but you know, when they got in prison and his father could get him out with those wax wings, he instantly gained the hubris equal and comparable to Kanye West. That's a lot of ego right there for one little boy. So he took his wings and he said, I can fly higher than the gods. And his dad tell him, what the fuck are you doing, bro? You're getting too close. You're going to heat up. Mind you, that's not how, the real world works in physics, but it's a fable. Who cares? And then the shit melted and he died. His father was trying to save him because all he had to do was gain a balance and stability between, too much optimism and too much pessimism in that ground and that gravel and that rock in those rivers because he couldn't swim, and just leveling yourself out. Those two are the definition of what an allegory looks like if it was in a cartoon format for me. Because when I was little, I couldn't get that out of it. I was like, why isn't there a new season? This ending sucks. But when I see this new version, the 3D version, and I basically saw Icarus. They even had wings. I'm like, did they purposely try to do an Icarus situation? Or did they just want the season to end with a flashy boom? It's Japan. It could go either way.
Well, they kind of took away most of the actual angelic features of Trigun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean, it was the angel arms, and
yeah, the
originally
angel
there's a lot
arm.
more like wing appearance around it.
Yeah, it was actual feathers rather than the flowers, which I hate the flowers. I
actually do like even if it wasn't angelic, you can still use fucking feathers. That's how I feel. But yeah, I started realizing really quickly that there is a design change, right? His outfit turned black. It's not the sky around him. The outfit is still black, and they're almost like a Icarus father and son situation. Hey, listen,
yeah,
Knives,
because like the
you fucking
motif
up.
is that the motif is that Vash and Knives are both effectively angels warring for the soul of the human race.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then also they're two different extremes, but they both are too far into each category. Knives is too far into pessimism to borderline, aggressive nihilism, not passive aggressive, aggressive nihilism. Vash's problem is that he's so optimistic, he wants to pretend he can fix every fucking thing, and you just can't. He reminds me, of any child, before they learn Santa Claus isn't real or that the Tooth Fairy isn't real. It's that level of optimism that can only come with a level of innocence. Like, bitch, you saw this motherfucker kill like 6 or 7 people in front of you one day, and he told you years ago he purposely tried to genocide everyone in those colonies, and he used you to help. I feel like you should stop cutting him some slack. But when does he listen? Not until season 2.
He still doesn't really listen in the end, because he does still try to save Knives the best to his abilities.
I'm sad now. I had a perfectly good
he's
piece
trying.
of cheesecake,
He
and he
believes
just had to
everyone-
fucking ruin it.
I'm sorry. Everyone
Yep. He believes
to
in the good
Vash.
in all men.
Yeah, he believes that everyone deserves a chance at life, regardless of what they've done. And I mean, I commend them for that, but I don't agree with Vash's ideas.
He's got to be that way, and that's part of like a slightly inhuman thing about Vash. He like he can't compromise on that and become gray, because that would that's not his place in the story. That's a human outlook, and he's not supposed to have that.
No.
That's why I like the color changing motif, because it felt like when he's in this mode, I know a lot of people, the stereotype, oh, he's in a super mode now. Like, look, first off, fucking Dragon Ball didn't come up with the concept of a super mode, okay? Let's just stop that. Also, Dragon Ball was pretty much, if memory serves, ending when Trigun was starting. So the super mode motif was already played out by then. So I think it was a visual representation of this is how Vash is when he is willing but doesn't want to go past that line. But yes, what did you want to say about the colors on the outfit, Exile?
Oh, in terms of the colors for Vash, I mean, Vash is red because he's basically Jesus in the that's the intent of the colors there. It's like he's in red, Meryl's in blue, Wolfwood has a cross. That's like the full extent of the references. But in terms of Vash's design, most of it was like most of what grinded me in terms of Stampede was missing that intent of the character to be resolute about being a pacifist, instead of just kind of incidentally, maybe guiltily being a pacifist.
I agree, yeah.
Okay, well, with that being said, Clover, you first. How do you grade the character redesigns?
I'm going to have to put it on C tier like I did with the first one.
Oh man, I should legit pull up a tier maker, but I know there's
C-tier.
gonna be so many people who are just up my ass about it. I think I
Listen,
told
don't get me wrong. Some of them are great, but they just changed a lot of things that it's just missing what the originals were. The originals just had a lot of deeper meaning behind each of the outfit choices for these characters, and it doesn't feel like it's translating as well in Stampede.
Yeah. And Exile, what about you? How do you grade the redesigns?
I mean, I think I'd have to stick Vash's circumstance down at like C or D, and then other stuff. Other stuff I would do like B or A. I think almost every character is in a better place for me, except for Vash. Although the outfits not being very desert-like, I think is a very good critique. But I think it's like a plot problem and a setting problem, not like a character design problem. So I'm not sure like where to put that exactly.
Yeah.
So I focus a lot more on just like what they do and say and how they are. And for most characters, I think that's an improvement.
That's fair. I can see that.
So B plus, B.
Yeah, I'm gonna give everybody but Vash
Damn.
Everybody but Vash and Legato. Legato's a huge downgrade.
They massacred him.
It is so
Vash and
hilarious.
Legato are D tier character assassinations.
Yes.
Everybody else is hovering at like B or A.
That's
For
salt.
sure.
Oh, I could make
Yes.
so many roasted peanuts with this. Okay, to be fair, a lot of people, they actually don't like the new outfit, or they like the new outfit if it was closed, because now we just see a giant black silhouette. Like, you couldn't think to buy a shirt or anything, man. You got on these janky looking onesie, or is it a pair of pants? No one can even tell if it's a onesie or a pair of pants.
It's a
and
pair
a
of
shirt.
pants.
Oh, so it is pants and a shirt? Okay, I legit
Yeah.
couldn't tell.
Yeah, it's a pants.
It's like once they designed the coat and the arm, they said fuck everything else.
I miss the straps, the 90s leather garb that was Vash the Stampede, the straps and the just like,
Oh, yeah.
I should not
I
say
miss
that.
it so
Let me stop.
much.
I'm gonna put myself on you before I say something stupid.
And I also kind of disagree with how the Eye of Michael group has shown itself. It was only there for a very brief moment where you guys got to see it, but I believe his friend, Wolfwood's friend's name is Livio, or I don't know how you pronounce it, but
Livio?
Livio, he just, the way that he looks is so drastically different than in the original iterations of it. Like the picture that I sent in the chat of the silly goober stuff, that guy that's in there, that's actually him. And so, yeah, he's very, very different with Livio and how he is. It's just very it's very cult-like, but less cult-like in like a Catholic sort of sense. Not saying that the Catholic Church is a cult or anything, but
It's fine.
they are.
I
For
mean,
sure they are. But
I've
it's
made
more-
it very clear how I feel. I don't care how anybody feels about anything. My main concern is, are you using your religion to be a better person, or are you using it because you're mad that everyone else doesn't think and act directly like you?
True. But I think they kind of butchered how the Eye of Michael looks, and also the way that Wolfwood is a undertaker instead of a priest kind of bothers me. Because I mean, yeah, the undertaker thing just feels so like, oh yeah, that's the foreshadowing that he's supposed to be the one of the guys that's trying to go after Vash, and that feels kind of lame rather than the priest.
And then he just tells
Aspect.
you, oh, I knew the whole time in the middle of a fucking sewer. I'm like, man, are you fucking... I feel like this reveal was rushed into season 1 because they couldn't figure out where to fit it in season 2. It felt so stupid. He just says, you knew the whole time? Yeah. That's it?
Yeah, 90s Trigun
Yeah.
has such a delightfully long time to cook on
Yes.
all these good subplots.
Mhm.
And then, Stampede is just like,
Yeah.
he's Wolfwood's like another superhero. It's going to be revealed within an episode of meeting him that he's
Yeah,
like
that's so
superhuman.
lame. Oh,
Yeah.
and the fact that like when I was watching the 98 series, they didn't touch at all on the superhuman healing abilities that Wolfwood has. They didn't touch that at all, which bothered me a lot. But now they're touching on it, but it's in a way that I feel isn't.
They got their hands all over it. They're
They got their
getting
hands
dirty
all
about
over it. Yeah, but they're just making that buildup of like how he's like so cool and how he's able to fight the ways that he does. They ruin it by putting it just so simply in there, like it was a passing thing. And so that was pretty lame, in my opinion. So the Eye of Michael feels less church-like and just more like, oh, we're just like FBI, CIA members. So why do you have the religious
type thing.
symbolism of that, but don't have more religious aspects to it? Like they have the crosses, but why do you have the crosses if you're not gonna have like the same sort of like they can't call Wolfwood they can't call him
Father.
preacher anymore. They can't call him chapel anymore. So like what's the point of having his weapon, the Punisher, being in a shape of a cross if like you're gonna kind of take away what I don't know if I'm making any sense
No,
here.
you are. You're basically repeating what I said, but to help you summarize, the show has a problem with its aesthetics in relation to the tonal whiplash. In essence, what you and I think on some levels Exile mean is that they keep trying to present the show as a concrete, through point for how it came to its aesthetic and the world building. But the problem is, from as early as like the appearance of Wolfwood, things aren't matching, especially when it comes to the enemies and religious iconography. The primary reason being because it seems like they can't decide if they do and don't want to engage the religious aspect, which to my knowledge, any fears of anything like that should have left in the 90s. For God's sake, we're talking about a country that has porn. I just want to say I didn't watch it, but it came up in a political, it came up on C-SPAN one day, and apparently I Googled it and it was real, but I didn't watch it. We're talking about a country that has made at least 30 or 40 porns that are literally about angels and demons fucking each other or fucking humans. And I don't mean tentacle monsters.
Man, I think that's a low estimate, but we really shouldn't go down this road.
That's for another video, for another
I think that's a low estimate. I did not think you would say that. But
oh man, like come on.
Well, you got to remember, I didn't look this up like yesterday. I looked this up when I found out about that maybe 15 years ago. If we want to get into
the perversions of humanity, we got to be breaking out a shovel. Like this is a dig.
Look, we need shovels.
The 7 layers of hell are waiting for us.
Let me tell you something. If we going through the horror story, depending on who you ask, of Japanese eroticism, we're gonna need eyeball soap, and they don't make that yet.
Mm-hmm.
They do. Festival. There's eye flush stations.
They have a penis festival. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Well, you can just go to Reddit/iBleach.
Yes.
I am
like
scared
puppies
to do
and
that
stuff
now.
like that.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we danced around it, and then we invited it back home and gave it a nightcap or 3. But for the story and plot, well, you went first the first 2 times. I'm gonna let Exile go because he was making some good points earlier anyway.
Yes, please feel free.
Right. I have a fresh cup of coffee.
Oh, shit.
Let's get this.
We getting the fucking drinks in here.
Yeah. This is my second cup of coffee of the thing. So if I start talking fast, you'll know why.
Let me get my vodka.
What I mentioned a little bit before is that this is not a Western anymore. This is a sci-fi plot now. And what was cool about the 90s Trigun is that we go from it being a Western towards it being a sci-fi as you progress later. And there's a through line there of the other. And in the beginning of the series, Vash is a mysterious character. He is the lone stranger. He is the other who comes into town and is benevolent and cleans things up. And that's a classic Western through line. And then you connect that when you learn that Vash isn't really human. And then that connects into this xenology type of theme. And in Stampede, we're going with a xenology theme right away, which is how does mankind interact with things that aren't human? And that's very typical if you're going into like a space plot. You've got aliens, and you've got how humanity is an outright bastard to anything that's not us, which is, it's also in some Western plot lines because you've got the westward expansion and how we were horrible genociding maniacs to the native population all over the place. So that connecting through line is part of what is good and salient in 90s Trigun. And skipping over the Western part makes that weird, but we're still on a through line because that still is part of space plots.
My favorite part is that the cruelty of humanity and their inability to learn from their own ignorance, or notating that there are more stupid people than there are smart people. If I could sum up this franchise in one sentence, there are more ignorant jackasses than there are smart people, essentially. But that doesn't mean that the smart people aren't cruel.
Yep.
One of the earliest things I learned still bothers me to this day. There was a massive, depending on what state you were in, essentially embargo or creed or ordinance that went out to, the USA before it was fully established, stating, hey, look, all the shit with natives is done. They have their land. We have our land. Yes, there are places where we stole a shit ton of it, but it is not considered okay to just openly shoot or murder them because you feel like it anymore. Leave them alone, because if you leave them alone, they not gonna fuck with you. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing. Then I found out that same year that happened, we killed close to, if not over 1 million buffalo in the continental America. We didn't do that because they tasted good. We were literally trying to starve them to death.
Yep.
We were so stupid, we didn't know that they can grow fruits and plants and shit and vegetables. It's like we can't learn, but the ones who do learn don't teach the idiots. Or they don't want to teach the idiots because they don't feel like giving a shit about them. And I ain't gonna lie, that's kind of like my life creed. I literally stopped trying to fix idiots, and I got so much less stress in my life. I have a happier disposition, but at the same time, there's always that one date when I'm just gonna wake up in the middle of the night staring at my ceiling and just think, I could be thinking about porn right now or watching porn in the middle of the night like a normal human being. But instead, I'm wondering if that 21-year-old girl who's never been more than 3 miles past her house, whose parents just died and told me to fuck off, should I go back and help her learn how to be an adult, where to go to get her own fucking state ID, and how to help her with, planning the funeral and life insurance stuff, and also getting a job in the future. And then at the same time, I'm like, when did you get soft, bitch? But I'd rather help Peachie Clover get a new career potentially, because fuck her. She's still an asshole.
I'm okay. I think that I will be good career-wise, but I'm glad that you're thinking about that at night instead of thinking about porn.
That is a hell of a segue into. It's like on one hand, human betterment and uplifting each other. On the other, perversion.
And fuck them.
Porn.
Because they're terrible and selfish. Like, I hate to say it, but that's kind of why the appeal of Knives and Vash has lasted so long for me. It's not because, they're the cliche generic Japanese rivals. No, it's because both of them are right on some levels, but the problem is neither of them find a balance. And at some point in time, in the back of my head, I just thought, I should probably find a balance for myself.
So they're doing a lot more in Stampede to make Knives correct, because in Stampede he is explicitly a defender of an exploited populace. He is not only a defender of an exploited populace, but a genocided populace.
Yes, for sure.
So you cannot say that Knives is wrong in Stampede. Whereas in 90s, in the 90s, Trigun, he is the genocider. He's the one doing that. And it doesn't appear provoked there because we don't get that same kind of background.
Exactly.
But in Stampede, it's very much that he is fighting for the sake of a species that is different from mankind. And the method of his fighting is arguably reducing him to the level of mankind, but you can't fault him for that because he's kind of still clearly the defender. So that's sticky. You can't denounce Knives in Stampede, which is in some ways more interesting, but in other ways it's like, well, I kind of would like to have a cool antagonist that's just a bad guy. And I think that we might get that in Earth in season 2 of Stampede. Because I think that the people from Earth are just going to be outright bastards that we will hate.
Yeah, they could be, depending on what route they go, if they decide to change it. Because they have been changing how Knives is. I would agree, they've definitely kind of changed him, made him more human. I believe he's less scary now, less intimidating, because man was downright unhinged and evil in the manga and in the 98. Like, he does not take no for an answer in terms of like going to significant lengths to make sure that he goes through with what his ideals are, like going to the point where he would cut his own brother's arm off to make a point that, like, because Vash in the manga and also in the 98 pointed a gun at Knives when he was trying to stop him from doing some horrible things to humans, and both times he decided to cut that arm off of Vash. So he was a lot scary, a lot more evil and intimidating in terms of the inhumanness in the previous iterations. So he's a lot more human in this newest series, and it's a pretty interesting take on it. So I am mostly for people trying to make villains more understandable, so you can have that sort of moment where you need to sit back and think, like, is he really the bad guy, or is he really doing the wrong thing? Because he has some excellent points. So, but I do miss people being evil for the sake of evilness, and I miss that.
Well, I mean, you're younger than us, so I can see that, but for me, it's fucking played out. I need my villain not necessarily to think that they're a good guy. I just need them to be more than mindless, brain-dead zombie thing that wants to work on impulses. Yes, that can work in a Dragon Ball movie, but, you know, anywhere else, I'm like, you better put some effort in this motherfucker.
Well, Vash is also ultimate good. So, especially in the older series, and if Vash is ultimate good, there should be a representation of ultimate evil somewhere within the series. And I think even the 90s series, that's more Legato than it is Knives. Knives is like penultimate evil. He's very, very evil, but there's like a suggestion there that he's somewhat redeemable, because I think older version of Knives is actually like more childish than Vash. And
for sure.
That's inverted now. Like Knives is definitely the more mature one in Stampede.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I'm curious because, well, you know, who better to ask than you two? Let me ask y'all something. Do you think if humans collectively decided to not fuck with the artificial plant people at all and to, you know, let them live a normal existence, no rushing them into death or nothing, do you think Knives is just going to leave them alone, or he's still going to try to subjugate / enslave, which is, you know, synonymous of each other, humanity? What do you think?
I think that he probably, if they were all being able to live in harmony and they never did the experimentations on Tesla, then I think he wouldn't have the ideals that he does.
No, I mean, yes, but I mean, like, the current him. If he found out tomorrow all humans were going to stop fucking with the plants, do you think he would stop being, well, him?
He would not trust that. Definitely not. He
Current
would need
him,
to see, current him, he's too far off the edge.
I think he would only settle for a subjugating power dynamic at the minimum, and it's likely that he would aim for genociding humanity.
Absolutely.
Because I think we're in the full xenology us versus them story right now. I don't think it ends.
It's not redeemable.
Knives' ideation would be, if I allow humans to live, then there will come a human someday that will concoct some kind of a scheme that will undo my work, and I cannot abide by that.
Yeah, and like plants live for a very, very, very long time, so there's always a chance that at some point in humanity they decide that they're going to just start a revolution and start going against the plants. So he's looking at a wider scale, like, view of timeline, because he's going to be around for a long time.
He would probably preserve some humans for the purpose of scientific advancement, for the sake of plants, because both he and Vash are a product of human experimentation to create plants that are able to, or cultivate plants that are able to exist in our dimension. So he would probably exploit humans to further that. But that would be the only role for humans in Knives' ideal.
Which is ironic because he's mad that we're exploding the plants into extinction.
Yeah, but it's like a shot first kind of thing.
No, I totally agree. It's just, it's ironic how it came full circle. We basically shot ourselves in the foot by trying to shoot his people out of existence. Okay, well, I was legitimately curious what y'all was saying. I mean, I like what you're saying. All right, with that being said, Exile, let's have your grade for story and plot.
So I think that the original Trigun is like actually the kind of work of genius that you can't replicate on purpose.
Mhm.
So I'm going to give Stampede a B tier because I have to look at Stampede without comparing it to the original Trigun. Like I can't take the original Trigun as a knock against Stampede because I don't think you could remake Trigun the way it is if you had all the tools and all the time. I don't think you could hit that again. So I have
They
to
can't get
think about
Evangelion
Stampede.
perfect. Trigun's
Yeah,
doomed.
I got to think about Stampede as if I had never seen anything about Trigun before and look at it on its own, and I'd say, it's watchable. So that's a B for me.
And what about you, Miss Clover?
Well, I've been seeing people say that this is a prequel to all of the Trigun stuff. So the Trigun 98 and the beginning of the Trigun manga. So it's kind of hard to tell if I think it's a good prequel or not. It sets up some things, but it's also kind of correlating with a lot of the story points in the other parts of the Trigun story, like characters knowing characters before they're supposed to know if this is a prequel. So it's not bad. I will say probably between a C and B tier.
Just say B minus.
I'm gonna say it's a C plus.
They always gotta fight me. They always gotta fucking fight. Okay, all right. So
You asked my opinion. You asked me to come here and give my opinion, and you can't argue with my
exactly. That's why I'm moving on. But because I'm being petty, Exile's gonna go first. What do you want to see in season 2, sir?
Okay. In season 2, I want to see probably Mankind Earth be really nasty and evil until somebody convinces them to come back around on that. And I think that has to be something that comes from Meryl and from Vash. But I think they need to take some really big L's. And we need to see why humans are bastards and why we fuck up everything we touch. And that needs to be validated. And then we need to end on something that's hopeful.
God damn,
so
he just had
they
no
need to
chill.
Yep. So Earth humans, we need to be shown that they're bastards, and then they need to figure out why they're wrong, and then there has to be like some core of them that are like redeemable, that get redeemed at some point. There has to be like a plant preservation group, or maybe there's environmental hope. The fact that people don't know what plant life is, like Meryl had never seen a tree before. So that has to be, we need some hope at the end of it. But also, we need more little stories. And I don't know if Stampede has any more room for this. It's been such a breakneck series.
Yeah, B plot
we
is
haven't
something
really
I want to see,
seen
but I don't know how they would do
the
it.
small people. And that was so important in the original Trigun. So I don't know if we're going to hit that or not.
Okay, since I have calmed down. All right, Clover, what do you want to see in season 2?
Besides the obvious answer of Millie, I would like to see Vash more in his silly gooberness as he's kind of getting used to because a lot of people, and I would also agree that Vash kind of gets through his depressiveness and depressive episodes of his convoluted feelings of humanity through humor and things like that. I would like to see him more using that coping mechanism as he's interacting with more of humankind. I want to see more interactions with him and humans that isn't so I don't know. It just, there needs to be like those kind of like B plots that you guys were mentioning. I would like to see more of that, kind of, so it can do more world building in terms of what the kind of like situation and environment is. And I would like to see Vash's hair with his quiff, how it's all pushed up. I want to continue to see that and hopefully have an outfit change as well.
Because she wants to make the outfit and the hair.
I want the hair is iconic, so
Yeah, that's got to come back.
it's got to come back. They made it come back, so they got to keep it there. And hopefully he'll get some upgrades in terms of maybe his arm eventually will be made into a gun, and then I'm curious to see how they're going to go about Wolfwood and how he's going to start interacting with Vash, because originally he met Vash after the July incident. So I'm curious how they're going to develop their relationship, if it's going to go the route of Trigun Maximum or going to the route of the 98 series.
Okay. That bug girl scares me. I don't want to think about what she's going to be doing in season 2. I'm tired of her pulling bugs out of her mouth.
Zazie the Beast?
Is
think
that
that's
the one
what-
that pulls bugs out of her mouth?
I think that's the correct name.
Yeah, Zazie the Beast. I never thought Zazie was a girl. Is Zazie a girl?
I think they purposely left it ambiguous. So I can't
it's
really
pretty
say
unclear.
for sure. I would have to look up the wiki or something.
So
I'm pretty
I think,
sure.
I think Zazie, and I'm not sure if this is the same from before.
Mm-hmm.
I think Zazie is a bug, is not actually a person.
Yeah, I think
I think
they're
it
like some
infests
sort of
in
creature.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why they're Zazie the Beast, because I don't think that they quite have the human gender ideals and things like that.
Yeah.
They're just a thing. That's Zazie. Zazie.
I think the interesting thing about Zazie, it's a cool, important character because Zazie is the native life form of Planet Gunsmoke. So it's the same narrative about
Still just
interacting
the
with
dumbest
aliens.
name for a planet. I love this series, but I,
I mean,
can
yeah,
never
it
stop
is.
being mad at that name.
Yeah, that's fair. Completely fair.
Well, listen, they don't got much education going on over there.
Yeah.
They have
You can't blame them.
They engineered interdimensional existences that can basically be a fuel source. There's no excuse for that. I mean, if they said it was the planet's name is Calendar, okay, because what are the cities named? April, May, June, July. But no, Gunsmoke.
Listen,
I mean,
they don't
I
know
wasn't
that there's
gonna
other
remember another
planets.
planet name.
True. Yeah. I'd have to
it's
agree.
so easy to remember that it's Planet Gunsmoke for Trigun.
It's pretty easy.
I don't know. I guess that's just salt left over from the 90s. I've always thought that was dumb. And we're talking about 7-year-old me is like, the planet's name is Gunsmoke. You made that
I
up.
think it sounds pretty sick, honestly.
7-year-old
I'd live
me
in-
would love to fight you. It would probably be a fair
Oh,
fight.
sweet.
Okay, so action sequences. Clover, how you feel about them? Less, more, or unrefined? Let us know.
They're hit or miss, that's for sure. Kind of like how Exile was mentioning with that first sort of interactions on top of the rock where he didn't have the bullets and everything. They had those cool action sequences of him dodging the up close range that the guy was shooting at him with. That was pretty cool. But then a lot of other things were severely lacking. The final battle between Vash and Knives, it had some cool aspects, but in general, I would say they're pretty mediocre at best. I feel like it could have done better in a 2D format.
I should have a meme for this. Probably gonna have the Friday's damn show up every time somebody says something savage. Because I can tell you right now, Exile, I didn't write down the timing, which I got to get better at doing that, but he said some shit I am definitely going to have some goddamn memes for.
Have the surprise Pikachu face for the
Good.
meme, yeah.
I always try to think of one or two, get them chambered before we are getting into the discussion. You get me the questions ahead of time, and I'm cooking on it.
Bro,
let's.
I give everyone the questions ahead of time because I don't know if I'm the only person that does that. I'm glad I'm not, but that's how I view it. People think that when I show up or when I answer questions or when I talk to people in my podcast, the interviews, reviews, whatever we're doing, that oh, I just came up with this funny stuff, at the drop of a hat. No, I planned my shit. Unless it's a short pun. Luckily, or unfortunately, depending on who you ask, Clover has not experienced the power that is my short puns. But if she were to talk to my best friend who's on my podcast, who's 4'9", let me just say she could tell you some horror stories, and I will have a smile on my face.
Yeah.
Well, all the short jokes that you've made have been pretty mediocre so far.
Well, I haven't actually made a short joke that was dedicated and designated for you, is what I'm getting at.
I'm hearing that he's fallen short, but
Okay.
Exactly.
I give you that one, Dr. Strange. That was pretty funny.
I'm definitely one of those folks. I talk more to myself than I talk to the sum of all other human beings, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So I have a plenty of time to practice any zingers.
Well, see, that leads me into a very interesting question, because I don't know if it counts or not, but if you ask yourself a question and you ponder it, does that count as like talking to yourself, or is it just you have a question and you wish you knew the answer?
I think it counts if you say the answers out loud as talking to yourself. Like if you like rattle through out loud each of the individual answers you might have or the considerations, then yeah, it's talking to yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. Then I don't talk to myself. Good to know.
Talking to yourself is unfairly stigmatized. It's a healthy behavior.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes
it's
I
just a
write
matter
things
of how
down and
you
word
do
it
it.
out on a piece of paper while talking to myself. Like, okay, so if I do this, then this will happen. Oh, but I don't like when this happens, so maybe I can try this. But then, oh wait, no, not that. So it's.
Yep.
If
I would
ever
say
catch
it's
you doing
normal,
that
but
in
people
real
don't
life-
want to admit it.
Don't hold yourself to the standards of the unthinking masses. Keep thinking.
Bro, that needs to be on a shirt, because I've been trying to teach some of my younger siblings, not siblings, my younger cousins that shit, and because they're like they go from 10 to 20, and they can see that their own parents, even if they're good or I love them to death, or their other friends and family members, that they will see something on TV and immediately assume it's legit without verifying, as we've discussed numerous times before, Exile, the concept of citations. And then even after they get told what a citation is, they don't go actively seeking them, because, as I've mentioned, they don't care if they're wrong. They care if they feel wrong. And it is fucking scary, but at the same time, there's not a critical thinking class I can just tell them to go to. Anyways, all right, continuing with the Exile. Actually, no, wait. How do you grade the action sequences real quick, Clover?
Okay, C-.
I'm okay with that.
Why am I feel like I'm being like the mean person in this.
Well, no. See, here's how I look at it. I'm about to basically inflate your ego on an accident, so I apologize now. You have a very premium and pristine understanding and concept of Trigun, not just because of your intellect, but because you also did the non-ADD thing and have read the fucking books. You understand that this cartoon is more than just a cartoon.
Yeah, I read the manga first. I usually read mangas because, I did read it first. I read it before Trigun Stampede was announced, because I usually take the train to work, so I spend my time reading mangas because I don't really have time to watch it, because I usually watch things subtitles and I need to be 100% paying attention to it or I'm not going to understand. So reading it is my way of 100% paying attention and doing it when I have the time, when it's slow at my workplace or when I'm on the train. So I read it first, and then I watched kind of as Stampede was coming out, I watched it, and then I watched the 98s, and I watched the movie The Badlands Rumble, which I would not really recommend.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad movie. It was bad for Trigun movie, because
the
there was
animation looks
nothing
great,
about it
but
that was all that interesting.
Yeah,
They
that's
should-
really the
they- if
problem with
anything,
it.
they
It's
should have
just
took that budget
whatever happens.
and turned it into like a 8-episode miniseries.
Pretty good.
Yeah, the animation was great, but everything else was pretty lackluster for that. But we're not talking about Badlands Rumble
No, I
right
totally
now.
get, like, don't get me wrong, you're not the villain. It's not your fault that and I don't want to quote that old Rick and Morty meme, but it's not your fault that there are lowbrow fans, there are highbrow fans, and then there are people with ADHD who are posers. That's just a fact of life. What we call them back in the athleticism days is fair weather fans. Oh, you got a team, but you don't give a shit about nobody on the team until they bring home a trophy. You know?
I got the hyper fixation on it right now, so I'm very like head is very much into it. Just like when I was really into Yu-Gi-Oh, that's all I could think about was fucking Yu-Gi-Oh. So I don't know. I'm very critical thinking about things that I'm passionate about. So I feel like I'm being an asshole. But I want to say as a disclaimer to the creators, y'all are doing amazing hard work and congratulations for getting your show out there. 3D modeling and 3D animation is impressive. I just didn't like it in this context. So don't hate me.
No, I'm perfectly okay with that because I'm going to tell you right now. You basically are thinking, you know, how me and Exile thought when we were around your age. We understood very quickly in life that there are people who aren't necessarily fans. They just hate hearing bad things about something they like, which is so fucking stupid.
Wait, how old are y'all? If you keep talking about how young I am, how old are y'all then?
We're both 33.
Oh, so
I got
pretty good amount of.
Oh, was I off?
Sorry, 1 year.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to be lumped in with the kind of age group that I know that I'm in because I don't agree with a lot of the things that people say that are in my age group.
Everybody has a young and stupid phase. You're allowed to have it.
Don't worry about comparing yourself to me. I'm old for my age.
I mean, I didn't want to say it. But nah, when I've even gotten people to look in on his channel, like, because I actually do talk to my in real life friends about his channel. A lot of them say, "Oh, when you start getting into old people," I'm like, "What the fuck? He's younger than me." What the fuck? I was like, "Oh yeah, he kind of looks like Doctor Strange." Now, see, that's a compliment. Yep. That's how you compliment somebody.
Hell yeah.
Fucking
pepper going.
Like you could legitimately pull off a Doctor Strange outfit. You ain't even gotta have.
Yeah, I need to get myself a cape.
Yes, you should. You should have like one of your friends be the cape, so then you can have it dance around.
Oh hell yeah!
I think see, that'd be fun.
Have them go like
green screen. You can
do
a lot with
black,
green
like
screens.
we're doing the ping pong short. It's amazing.
Oh, my favorite.
It's kind of like in the not the live action, in the play production of Aladdin. They have someone playing the carpet that just cartwheels around and shit. That's so fun.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be amazing.
I gotta get myself the arm wraps and
see, I will personally.
And
I will cosplay the Punisher.
So that's pretty much a bonus for you. I know a lot of people don't know who she is, but she's actually essentially one of the second or top 5 strongest magicians pretty much ever. That character, is actually going to end up being his wife. That's not a movie spoiler. That's just how the comic books is. That's actually his future wife.
Yeah.
So
they
you get Charlize
had
Theron.
her show up at
the
end of the last one, right?
Yeah, like you get Charlize Theron, you're really winning right there.
Absolutely.
True.
I mean,
absolutely.
I'm not gonna say I don't have an older woman fetish, but you know, when you get to our age group, it's not really an older woman fetish. It's more like a hot woman in your age bracket fetish. But if there was one person who might be able to, reverse that and make it go back to the old days, it's Charlize Theron, because a lot of people forget she's damn near 60.
Damn, she looks amazing. I hope I can age that well.
Without makeup, she looks that young. That's the scary part. What was she eating in Africa? God damn.
After skincare routine.
I mean,
there's something going on.
Yeah, like
there's something in the water.
I mean, when you pay people to take care of their face, they can take care of their face real damn good.
Yeah, like I know black don't crack, and she from South Africa, but we must have donated something at some point, because that is ridiculous.
I mean, if I were making bank to stay fit, I'd have a 6-pack. But I'm getting paid to install computers, so that ain't happening.
Exactly. Yeah. So is she what you would classify as like the mommy mother category? Because I don't really
You
ever.
had to say the
I
M word. Technically, she does qualify as a MILF. You can say that word on this
uh,
channel. I think
I don't
YouTube
know.
hates it, but I don't care.
I can't get behind the mommy memes. I just or the mother. I can't. Like people as I've cosplayed Bayonetta, I've had people like say that to me, and I'm just like, I don't know how to take that. In
It
what
is-
way?
Was
It
it
is.
before or
There are
after
folks on the
Bayonetta 3?
internet
That's
who are a
what you
little
have to
too
remember.
proud to be a bottom. It's
No,
just
they're too horny
they go
for
wild.
me. Too
Yeah.
much horniness in this chat.
You go to a Japanese cartoon fucking convention essentially, and you
Oh
dress up
yeah.
as persona non grata for old school 90s I am somehow sexy, a stereotype, but I am not hated by most people. You basically just walk into a nightclub with a sign that says I'm horny, despite you not being horny necessarily. So I won't say it's your fault because you can't control the machinations of other people. But I will say no one would fault you if you ran around with a taser. I wouldn't.
I mean, at the convention staff absolutely would, but
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a horror story. It's just there are some people who they are not mentally impaired on record, but their association with women, let's call them what they are, incels or pre-incels, are so non-existent that they forget to the basic element of still treating them like a human, not an object. But also, ironically, you're going to be surrounded by women who want to be objectified. So
I don't know. It's
you can't
just,
fucking win. You can't win. It's not your fault. I acknowledge it. We fucked it up.
It's young people, really. And I know I'm a young person, but it's younger people as they've grown up on the internet. The kind of way that they interact with people has changed because they're so used to saying stuff behind a screen. So when I'm at a convention, the interactions with younger people have definitely changed over the years. And it's kind of weird because they'll say weird, strange things. It's not the yaoi paddle sort of interactions like it used to be, but it's still kind of weird. It wasn't like entirely weird, but when I was at a convention as Bayonetta, someone wanted me to do the like push me against the wall sort of thing for one of their TikTok videos.
Abaddon.
And it was just like, it's interesting, and I like have to like check their badge, make sure that they're not underage. Like, I guess I can do this because you're not underage, but it's a little bit weird to ask people to like push you against the wall
and then immediately put it online. Yeah, it is. They don't.
Super
they don't
weird.
register it.
Yeah.
I know neither of you have been to Anime Central, but it's one of the bigger conventions in Illinois for Japanese cartoon related stuff. But my last video, I actually did a tour, and I ended up like, just because I had a camera and I've been there sometimes, I ended up having like rolling with like 6 or 7 people deep, and we went exploring. I don't know how the fuck you live in the area where that convention is and you don't know there's an entertainment district half a mile away. You can go and see a movie, or you can go into a timed fucking air funnel and basically fly around like you're in Dragon Ball. But somehow they didn't know that shit was there. There's a bowling alley and a literal candy restaurant that celebrities go to, but they didn't know. And then right before I got done recording, was about to leave for the night, I'm hanging out with these 2 people dressed up as Demon Slayer characters, and they were actual brothers and sisters. It's on my video. I'm obviously gonna edit this part out. And Sam, that's his name, his little sister, out of nowhere, I'm laughing and talking with him. She says, "Hey, have you seen blah 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 blah?" I was like, "I don't know what that is." "Oh, it's a hentai." I was like, "I'm sorry, what did you just say?" It's a porn. Like, you watch porns, like. Yeah, but why do you think I'm going to discuss a porn with a 16-year-old?
Yikes.
Oh boy.
Yeah, like, why do you think I'm going to discuss a porn with a 16-year-old? Well, I mean, I'm not asking you what made you horny, but I have this question about this. Like, why? And I said the same thing over. Why do you think I'm going to discuss a pornography with a minor? And her brother starts looking at her like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Mind you, she's a good kid. I had no problem with her. She's a dork. She wants attention, so she'll randomly jump up in front of the camera. But hey, look, I know what I signed up for. It's a convention. That's going to happen. People see me with a camera and a camera system and kit that's, as at least 4 or 5 rent payments. they're going to try to find somewhere to get attention, just saying, hey, can you take my picture? They just can't say that. They have to imply they want a picture. They just can't say, hey, can you take my picture? I don't give a fuck. I'll do it. That's why I got the camera. But she just immediately went from innocent little dorky little goober, as you say, to, hey, let's talk about porn. It's like, I am literally almost twice your age and you're a minor. No. And then she just couldn't understand why I said no. I was like, I don't know what to tell you other than the fact that you're fucking 16.
Yeah, definitely weird interactions. I get some pretty interesting ones as well because I look about their age, but I'm actually in my 20s. So they're like, oh, I could talk to you about these certain like TikTok memes and things like that. And I'm like, actually, I'm not on TikTok and I don't know what you're talking about. And also, I could be your babysitter. So please don't talk to me about this stuff.
In the LARP space, we have a lot of people who are like in a parasocial circumstance, and sometimes in the LARP space, you have people who are able to get together who have very disparate ages, and you need to make sure that doesn't get weird because there are some weird dudes, and I think that's any sufficiently large group, you have weird dudes that you have to watch out for.
I mean,
and I'm not sympathetic towards weird dudes, but there are people who are just like autistic, they're somewhere on the spectrum, and they don't know or have a filter about what conversational topics are acceptable. And it's actually down to the point in the LARP space, we have hand signs to just have like, if somebody starts a conversation with you that is super weird or inappropriate, you throw up a hand sign that says like, hey, don't talk about that.
Damn,
and
I wish
they have to like
in real life. Fuck the LARPs. I'll take that in real life.
Yeah. No, it's a legitimate practice. And either they, wise up about it, or you have the circumstance where they don't recognize the hand sign or something goes wrong, and then you have to kind of report that. And then me on the staff side, I have to have a conversation with somebody, be like, yo, you can't talk about that stuff in public. What are you doing? And then if they basically get a strike system, and some people, they can like cognate that. Some people just can't control themselves, and you have to just like segregate them off and be like, man, I'm sorry,
and
I would love to be an outlet for you and help you socialize, but
wish I had that
can't do it.
Yeah, I totally agree and I understand it. Because it's not really just we're old and it's more like, be thankful you're in the generation you are, because let me tell you, the further back you go, the less people talked about mental health in a positive way, and the more they tried to hide it or hide the person that was messed up. But you're in a perfect spot because you can go up to somebody in this age and say, hey, listen, I don't know if you seem to understand what I'm saying to you. I don't know if you maybe have some form of autism or some form of mental impairment, but you seem to not be understanding that this is not okay. So I'm going to go away from you. And if you start following me, I'm not going to yell for help. I'm going to call the police. You're disturbing me. And you can just be as blatant like that, and everyone around you can immediately gauge, okay, do I need to slow down and watch this situation real quick? Like a lot of people, no, not you guys, but a lot of people who know my ridiculous track record at this point of catching pedos or letting somebody get held by the police custody system for doing something that someone said no about, or trying to. Most of them, it wasn't because, I was a covert secret agent. Far from it. It was because they thought because I was there, I was like them, and they would just tell me shit that they were doing, planning, or that they thought out loud. And I'm just like, did you just tell me you about to rob a bank? And I immediately believe them because, first off, it's not a situation where there's error for a possible joke. If Jupiter Exile tells me, oh my God, I swear, if one more person tells me about Alex Jones is innocent and he did nothing wrong, I'm going to shoot myself. I know he's not going to shoot himself. I don't know what he might do to Alex Jones though, even in the dark alley.
Take that seriously because that's a serious claim.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but if someone tells me, man, I hate that girl. She never wants to talk to me. She keeps telling me leave her alone. But that's okay. I brought pills to this con. The fuck you just say? By the way,
straight to jail.
That actually happened.
Oh,
yeah,
dude.
Yeah. But I digress.
Yeah.
All right. So, Exile. I'm really curious on your opinion of the action sequences. Possibly more than
so-
all 6 people that spoke on this thing.
So I mentioned before that I think we're really on more of like a superhero show instead of it being a Western. And that bothers me because I do like the moment to moment, like really tight action sequences and some of the things that are more small scale. And there are a couple examples of things like that. I think him dodging bullets in like the first episode was pretty cool. Like running through the town was really good. And that's very like classic Trigun in that kind of action, as well as him fighting in close quarters on the sand steamer when he's like rolling through a series of bandits. And that looks very slick because when you have him moving past people and doing like these tight pivots and corridors, that plays very well to the strengths of Studio Orange. It looks really cool, and I appreciate that. But other sequences when he's like flying around or doing other stuff, I'm just not interested in it. And some of it looks good because we've got kind of cool dynamic angles going on, and there's a good showcase of impact, which is something that can often turn out wrong in a 3D animation space. But it's just from a conceptual level, I just don't care because it's not what Trigun is to me. So there's like maybe a little bit of bias there. I don't know, whatever. Some of the shooting segments are good. Some of the shooting segments kind of suck. Because we've got the first episode shooting segments, like I said. Vash is very mobile, and that's very cool. The shooting segments with Livio and Wolfwood on top of the sand steamer, it's very static because both of them are just sponging up bullets. So there's not a lot going on there. When Vash is on the scene, it's better because he's kind of trying to make shots go off. He's interacting with the gunplay. The gun tonfa style that they're using with him, I do not appreciate that it's moving away from the aesthetic of him as a gunman, because him being conscious of his stance and stature as a gunman and using that to pull people down out of being aggressive was important to his character in 90s Trigun. But it is a cool action piece. So I think that a lot of the action pieces, there are storyboarding flaws in them, but the actual execution of it and the animation, I think, is pretty legit. You mentioned having some distaste for some of the frame switch-ups, but
Yeah, they
I'm
have
actually
51 or 55
Yeah.
FPS for most of the series. It's weird.
I actually like it. I like having, still frames and slow frames in the middle of things to make things kind of stand out. It's part of experimenting to find animation techniques that work in a 3D space. I think it's innovative from the Spider-Verse. Everybody should be trying to learn from that and trying to pick up on that and find like a cool rhythm for it. And I think it helps more than it hurts, because 3D animation, if you don't add some 2D tricks to it, it's not going to live up to what shines in a 2D space. And I think pushing 3D is a good idea for the medium right now. It's easier to produce for a lot of studios, and we're seeing that it can produce characters that are just as expressive as 2D characters and action that is just as interesting as 2D action. In addition to what we're seeing here with Stampede, which I think is excellent 3D animation. Hi-Fi Rush cutscenes are awesome. Their character movements are great. Really excited to see the 3D space getting pushed further. But yeah, the storyboarding for the action segments, I think just the concept of some of the action is just not holding it for me. The 808 Dreams.
I'm so glad you brought up Hi-Fi Rush. I don't know what it is, but anytime you and me think about Hi-Fi Rush, it just makes my day better. Makes up for someone ruining my cheesecake. But anyways, with that being said, how would you rate the action sequences of season 1? Because it was tough for me.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go along with Peachie and give it a C, because I think the good bits, there are not enough of them. And I liked a lot of the action sequences in episode 1, and just very few action sequences later. And to some extent, I enjoyed the final action sequence between Vash and Knives. The last bit where Knives is burning is fucking metal sick, and I would not
it's
replace
awesome.
that scene.
Yeah, that detail on that actually kind of
that was
disturbed me. It was
incredible.
really incredible.
But the rest of that fight, as much as it's like kind of cool and snappy, it loses out for me compared to the 90s Trigun, because in the 90s Trigun, the symmetry between Knives and Vash was so interesting.
Oh
So
yeah.
the fact that they don't fight with the same armaments and style is just not as cool to me as what it was back in the day when they were just gunmen pulling on each other, like trying to get the advantage, and each of them, when they pull the line on the other's head, the tension, the beads of sweat dropping. And when you go superhero, you just lose the tension that a gun provides. I mean, that's why, like, certain parts of JoJo's where guns are dangerous are more interesting than other parts of JoJo's where guns aren't dangerous.
It feels like it loses a lot of the intimacy of
Yes, that's a good term.
I'm mad
yeah,
you stole
the
that from me. I was
intimacy, 'cause-
literally gonna say that.
yeah, when they're so close in combat and using like the symmetry of like their movements and how they have the exact same guns but just different colors and everything, and like it loses that intimacy that makes it so intense and makes it so like you're on the edge of your seat. It kind of loses that aspect of it.
Okay, so now this is just my attempt at a summary. I'm not going to, necessarily say this is how you think. I'm saying this is how I'm going to try to perceive you. So when I make the summary part of this video, which I don't even know what format this is going to take. Is it going to be tier maker? Is it going to be a long format? I think this may end up being 2 videos. There's long form and a short form. I've done that for some authors that I've interviewed. But so in conclusion, Peachie Clover, your biggest issues with it isn't necessarily that the series is in 2D. It's that it's in a 3D format and it has clashing aesthetics and motifs, and the narrative can't pick and choose between, being a prequel or being past certain elements. So essentially you rate the show as watchable, but you're not getting as invested in it because it doesn't have the core elements that you liked and respected from Trigun as a franchise nailed down yet. Is that close to how you feel?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think it's I don't think it's a good I don't think it will be a good way to introduce someone to Trigun. I think that it's not the one you should start with. You should start with other pieces.
Okay, and Exile, I believe that your biggest issue is similar to hers. You don't necessarily hate the 3D aspects and elements, but your biggest issues is that the narrative and the aesthetic coherency only matches in key points and only in certain episodes, and also they've forgotten some of the core elements that make up not so much Trigun but Vash as a character and his enemies, and how essentially, even if it's not a spaghetti western with a sci-fi backdrop, they have forgotten that the gun aspect and the gunplay aspect should be foremost important. It needs to not look like Dragon Ball, and it needs to make sure that its A plot and B plot are actually separate entities, and figure out if they're going past Trigun or if they're trying to mix everything into one season in a blender, which looks stupid. Something like that.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty apt. It's just like thematic downgrade.
Yeah, they need
around.
to pick a direction and stick to it.
I
Essentially,
want my cowboys back. I want the cowboy vibes.
I like
90s was so good for Space Cowboys.
Yes, it was.
Space Cowboy. I see what you did there. But you are not wrong, sir. It was a very unique situation. And here's the worst part. A lot of people don't realize, but some of the best shows that we ever got from Japan, and also really just in general, that are animated, North America or any other country, aren't even because it's a good story and a good adaptation that can lead to a franchise that makes a lot of money. It's because somebody wanted to sell something. I am so sad that the only bad thing about Cowboy Bebop, besides that, you know, the director can't make his mind up about the ending shit, is that the only reason we got it is because of the spaceships. Do I like the spaceships? Absolutely. But the fact that that's the reason the show got greenlit is fucking stupid, because how important are those spaceships? Everyone knows that Spike's ship is named the Swordfish 2. And even though every other ship is in the intro, I promise you 90% of people can't name them. You know the Bebop and you know the Swordfish 2. Now name the other 7 that show up. I dare you.
Wouldn't do it.
I have to put a disclaimer. I haven't seen Cowboy Bebop. I started watching it on my 10-hour flight to the Philippines, but I didn't get past like episode 4.
If
Did
it
you
makes
fall
you feel
asleep?
any better.
Cowboy Bebop puts me to sleep.
I was like,
Oh,
I'm so
damn.
interested because the jazz
Wow.
music that everyone's saying is theirs, like top tier jazz music, and I wanted to
I
know.
actually have the soundtrack. It's good. I'll send you a link to it.
Soundtrack is fire. That's the
Yeah, I mean the original '98 Trigun soundtrack is also pretty good. I've been listening to that in my free time. It's the cowboy.
I've got Philosophy in a Teacup
What
on my
planet
computer
is
on
this?
demand.
That song alone, that is my hype song. Like, I don't plan on any point in time in my life getting into, I don't know, a giant 20-person, you know, Mexican standoff, or getting into some giant, you know, bar brawl where no one knows who's on anybody's side. But if that song is playing in the background, I'm hyped.
I love jazz music, so I mean, I was giving it a try. I had like half the first season downloaded on my phone from
Just
Netflix.
so we're clear, you're
but-
talking about the cartoon, not the live action, right?
Oh, I would never watch the live action.
Oh, thank
I'm
God.
not fucking stupid.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're not fucking stupid. What am I thinking?
No. Yeah, dude. Just in general, I'm not gonna touch any live action versions of animated series that I care about because I don't want to hurt myself that much.
Bless you, you innocent child. Bless you.
The one thing I will stick up for, the Phoenix Wright live action was really fun.
Oh, was it?
Well, it's supposed to be. I mean, that works. It's a comedy. You're not meant to take it seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not supernatural aspects. It's just
campy
guys
and
in cords.
overblown.
So.
It's there are supernatural aspects because like
Oh.
Phoenix Wright is
Oh,
never.
yes. That's
There are
right, the
exorcists
ghost.
and stuff.
Yeah, the ghosts and everything. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, it's camp. It's hilarious. There's actually a point where like everybody in the gallery does a falling over gag. It's amazing.
Oh, please. Okay, maybe I'll have to give some of them a try. It's
That's
for
like
the like.
one live action I'll stick up for. I think.
Yeah, it's for the shits and giggles mainly. Just just to shit
Umbrella
on it.
Academy is very unique. It's not following its original shit in order, but also the original writer, who is the lead singer from My Chemical Romance, he actually is supervising it, so it still keeps some of the same tones and aspects from the original. graphic
Yeah,
novels.
I've actually read the Umbrella Academy comic.
They made
So-
an Ultra Instinct Ellen Page, who is now, and they even have her transition in the show Elliot Page. The fact that they can go Ultra Instinct
I really
alone.
appreciate that. That was good.
Yeah, it's really nice that they did that, and I'm curious how that show is going to go in this last season, considering the comic isn't even finished. So we will have to see.
Okay.
I want to go back and give more time to the comic because Umbrella Academy, like the
It's
characters,
a unique
just kept
style,
annoying me.
for
I
sure.
could not hold to it.
Yeah, I have to agree. There's some good like iterations of some of the characters, but most of them have been changed significantly.
Hey, Clover, do you have Spotify?
Yes, I have Spotify.
Oh, I'm going to give you 5 things you are going to get addicted to. Well, with that being
Oh,
said,
no.
as always, Exile, Clover, I love having you guys over. Anytime you need help with anything, feel free to ask. You have the full might of Token Podcast at your disposal. There's about 40 of us, but of the 40, about a dozen of us actually do production-related stuff. So
wow.
if you need something, just ask. We can probably help out with it or know someone who can. If you ever, just want to do some crossover stuff on your respective channels, that's cool too. When this video is finished, however format it comes out, I'm going to make sure you have a copy of it so y'all can give approval, or you can use it for whatever you want to do. But yeah, there's definitely going to be a short form and a long form because I just did some quick calculations on my phone. If I put everybody in that long format version, gonna be like somewhere close to 5 hours, making it the longest video by far I've ever done. So
We got a lot to say.
yeah,
Nobody-
and that's cool. I'm
around for
okay
that.
with that. I asked a group of people. I'm happy so many people wanted to contribute. But more than likely, the short form will be the tier maker style, because also that's when we can cram the most jokes and funny stuff that got said into it.
True. If you do any like sort of editing things with having our pictures in anything,
Yes, I was gonna
then
say that.
I
Yeah,
would
I need
prefer.
yours.
Yeah, I would prefer that you put one of my Trigun cosplays in there. I'll
Actually, I would
send you the
prefer
one
to
that
get
I.
all of them, because no matter what character it is, I will find a way to use it.
Okay.
Also, I'm gonna, just I can turn any character or any image into a rectangle that fits on the tier maker tier list, because even though you can make them in real time, if you just have a still image of it, you can also do shit to it in video editing, which is the best thing about tier maker. You can live stream and move edit in real time, which saves so much time. But even when that's done, you can go and add stuff on top of that edit. It's beautiful.
Perfect.
Okay.
I've got a recording of this, so I'll just be sending you like my face, and you can. I've only got the
Cool.
audio from my side that's synced to that.
No,
but
no,
you-
that's
you
fine.
should be able to
That's
sync
what we
that
did
up
last
more or
time
less.
anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Exile, with that being said, why don't you tell the listeners where they can find you?
That's right. So you can find me either on Twitch or on YouTube, Twitch TV / Jupiter Exile, or on YouTube at I believe it's Jupiter Exile YT.
All right. And Clover, where can they find your Peachie self?
All right, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and most recently YouTube at Peachie Clover. That's Peachie with an IE Clover. So basically, yeah, you can check me out on those sites.
Okay, with that being said, that brings this, video / overarching legendary thing, which I probably won't do until season 2 comes out, because this is going to be a bitch to edit, to a close. Final statement from me, I just want to say for the listeners, please do not use this as a deterrent from enjoying something you already like, or look at it as a negative connotation and context. We're just giving our opinions based on the fact that this is actually a pretty old series and franchise. Inherently, we're going to have views differently from you new people who won't even touch the books, don't want to buy the books, or who will only watch the old show and not, do the whole trifecta. It's basically like me with Black Lagoon. I actually read Black Lagoon. Everybody asks me what happens after Roberta, and they want me to literally tell them piece by piece by piece, but they won't pick up the damn book. It's annoying.
Well, good luck trying to find Trigun anywhere, because they stopped printing them a long time ago. It's like $70 to get one
Yup.
copy, and you got to hunt it down. I've been looking for copies everywhere.
And that's
Yeah.
old school license, so it'd be hard to find it on an
Yeah.
aggregator.
Yeah,
Same
actually,
with the Devil
the
May Cry 3, like the company that made the Devil May Cry 3 manga went out of business. The publisher, not Capcom, but the publisher went out of business. So if you got a copy of that, you better not lose that shit.
yeah, actually, the Dark Horse Comics that published Trigun, they actually have their headquarters really close to my house. It's like 30 minutes
serious?
away from my house.
Are you serious? Whoa. Okay. You're gonna be helping me on a future video. Yes, I'll pay you if I need to. Hey, look, I already told everybody it was one of my New Year's resolutions to, inject way more interviews on the channel, and I've been really lucky because almost everyone I've been booking is a CEO, or they're some legend, or they're some epic person within some form of media. I've been really lucky with interviews. Ironically, y'all videos did better than theirs did, but I guess, humble brag for y'all. But I've been fortunate enough to be able to talk to and review and talk to these people about things, and I am trying to actually get somebody from Dark Horse specifically, so thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, all right. And with that being said, I will see you guys when I see you guys.